Hello my brilliant home buyers and sellers, this is Frayal, your real estate agent, and in today's video I am going to share with you the home buying process from the start to the finish. This video is going to be a detailed video and a lengthy one, so hang in there because this is going to take some time. But I'm sure if you are someone who has clicked on this video, you are a smart person because you want to do your research before you get into the home buying process, right? But before I get into the details and more technical side of the home buying process, I first want to share my own home buying journey with you. Now you're probably thinking, why do we want to hear this person's story? I personally believe that stories hold a tremendous amount of power. They bring people together and you can relate to them more than me just coming here and sharing the processes and data and all those things, which I will later on this video. But I really think that listening to my story, you can have a lot of those aha moments. So let's get into it. 20 years ago, my family and I embarked on a journey familiar to many, moving to Canada in search of a better life. Our very first home was a modest condo in Port Credit, Mississauga. We loved the neighborhood, but very soon we realized that buying a bigger home in that neighborhood is beyond our financial reach. I'm sure many buyers out there listening to this can relate to that. A lot of times what happens, and I've come across a lot of buyers as well, they want to buy a home in a neighborhood that they're in love with, but they just can't afford to. So how do we navigate that challenge? I'll talk more about that later in this video. Our second challenge came in the form of family input, which is huge in my culture. Although your family means well for you, they just don't know what is right for you and your family. I'm talking about immediate family. And their input and their opinion, all it does is that it clouds your mind. It takes away your ability to think clearly and make the right decision for you and your family. And for us, it ended up being buying a home in a neighborhood that we did not like. It did not fit our lifestyle at all, just because our uncle was buying a home in that neighborhood as well. Our third challenge came in the form of pressure working with that family friend real estate agent that everyone was using in our family, so we had to as well. Not that there's anything wrong with it. If that family friend agent is a right fit for you, please go ahead. But in our case, he just did not know how to ask the right questions or to dig deeper to really find out which neighborhood will be a good fit, or which city, matter of fact, will be a good fit for me and my family who just moved to Canada. And he ended up selling us the very first home that we saw without taking us to any other places, and he was just not the right fit for us. To be honest, that created a lot of resentment towards our home buying journey, towards our experience in Canada, and towards our home. It became really difficult living in that home every single day. After all these years, when I became a real estate agent, I've realized that buyers out there are still facing the same challenges. And that's why I've created a very simple yet very effective home buying process. It's about looking at home buying journey from the perspective of lifestyle approach. It's not about just buying a home and making a sale. It's about finding a home for you in a neighborhood that truly matches your lifestyle. Because let's face it, at its core, buying a home is not just about changing addresses. It's about transforming your entire lifestyle. So I believe that it's really important to do the work beforehand and finding the home that truly matches your family's lifestyle. So the very first step starts with an initial call. Initial call is just me asking you questions such as what prompted this home buying search, what exactly your current living situation is, what is looking for, how many members are there in your family, are you by yourself, is it for investment, or is it you're going to be a primary residence, are you looking for a resale or pre-construction project. So all those questions are just a quick phone call that I go over. Once I have an idea what type of a buyer are you, then we move to our second step, which is to fill out a buyer questionnaire. Now, before I show you, what I also ask, if let's say there's two parties involved in buying a home together, let's say a husband and a wife or two different friends, I ask both parties to fill these questionnaires out separately. And the reason being why, you'll be surprised how many times those two questionnaires come in, answers are completely different. So the goal is to bring both parties, because they're buying home together, to bring them on the same page. And the idea is to minimize any confusion, any doubts, misunderstandings down the road when we're out there looking for home. So the questionnaire has questions such as describe the home you're looking for, the style of home, the number of beds, bathrooms, your price range over here, what kind of a buyer are you? Is it your first step, a good investment, long-term plan, my crash pad, or any other information that I should be aware of? Then also it asks you questions such as if you're looking for a turnkey property, or is it something that you are okay with doing some cosmetic updating. This gives me an idea much more in detail what type of properties I'll be showing you down the road. Once I have the questionnaire filled out and submitted to me, then I go ahead and book the buyer consult with the potential buyers. And buyer consult is basically meeting face to face. Either we meet in person or we meet through a Zoom call. It all depends. But the goal of the buyer consult is to get to know each other more, to find out, first of all, if we as a buyer and an agent have any connection or not. Also to see if we are a right match for each other, because many times it can happen that you don't find me a good match, as I was talking to you earlier about my personal journey. Or it can also happen that I get to know what you're looking for and I might not be the right match and I don't think that I can help you. So I'll be very straight up with you at that point and tell you that there's no point of moving forward because I don't think we are a good match. But once we develop the idea that we are going to work together, we are seeing that we can connect, then we can move forward to our detailed buyer consultation. The very first thing I do during the consult is that I will open up the buyer questionnaire and I will go through each question with the buyers again. And that's because I want to make sure if there's any flexibility. So give you an example, if somebody wrote down, I want 3 bedrooms, why do you need 3 bedrooms? Does it mean that you have someone who comes, like let's say extended family who comes and visits you a lot more? Is that why? Or you have a number of family that needs an extra bedroom? Are you flexible if the home only has 2 bedrooms or a bedroom in the basement? So those are some of the things that I need to know a lot more in detail once we have the questionnaire filled out. And then we come down to the preferred neighborhood. You'll be surprised how many buyers are all over the place. When I get the answers back, I usually get things like somebody wrote down Mississauga, Guelph, and then let's say Kitchener, and they're all over the map. What I do is then I dig deeper and I ask, why did they pick those neighborhoods? Is it because of the work? Is it because they have extended family there? Is it because they have a big community in those areas? Is it because they have friends there? All those things then tell me why they put down those neighborhoods. Usually there's always that number one choice that everyone has. And then after digging deeper, I ask them to narrow it down to their top 2 or top 1 city that they're interested in. And once we have that top city narrowed down, and then we get into the neighborhoods. And before we get into the neighborhoods, I ask questions like, what does your day-to-day life look like? What are some of the activities you as a family do together? What are some of the things that are important to you that your neighborhood must have? Is it the commute? Is it close to being on to the GO station? Is it close to being at certain shopping or certain community centers, or whatever the case may be? I need to know those things. And once I have that information in detail, then I go ahead and suggest the neighborhoods that might be a good fit, hearing and listening to the type of lifestyle this family or this person lives. And then we narrow it down. So now you can see how hyper focused we are. We move from 3 different cities to 1 preferred city to narrow down to, let's say, 3 to 4 neighborhoods that they really think are a good fit for them. Buying is all about being hyper focused, because when you have good homes that come up in the market, they usually sell really fast. And if you're not focused and you are looking at all different places, the chances of you missing out on those good homes is really high. Nearly impossible to monitor all the homes in 3 different cities or in 10 different neighborhoods, and you all end up being confused. And that's where the frustration comes up in the home buying journey, when you're not narrowed down to certain areas that you really like. So after we have now the city, we have the neighborhoods, I have a good idea what the clients are looking for, what their budget is, what type of lifestyle they live. Based on all that information, then I move to more technical things, which is the data. I then show them what is happening in the current market, what the market statistics look like, and what the homes are selling for. There's so much data out there that can really confuse you as a home buyer. As a buyer, in order for you to shut down all the noise, the top 3 things when it comes to data that you need to look at is this. Number 1 is months of inventory. Number 2 is days on the market. And number 3 is average sale price to list price ratio. So let's talk about number 1, months of inventory. Months of inventory gives you a good idea in terms of what type of a market we are in a seller's market, in a balanced market, in a buyer's market. And why is it important for you to know those things? You can use the right strategies to approach the market. So let's say if we have months of inventory that's 2 months or lower, we are now in extreme hot seller's market. So you cannot go out and put a lowball offer with tons of conditions, because that will most likely not work for you. And then let's say if we are anywhere from 2 months to 4 months of inventory, we are now in a balanced market. So the chances of you negotiating might be a little bit more. You might be able to slip in more conditions in there as well. It might work in your favor. Anything from 4 months or a higher inventory, we are now moving into the buyer's territory. Now as a buyer, you have a lot more power. It means you're not competing with many buyers out there, and sellers are competing for more buyers out there, right? So your chances of getting that good price that you want, negotiating, is a lot higher in this case. So knowing these numbers are really important for you, and I as an agent help you figure that out, going through the market stats to show you that neighborhood right now has a seller's market, balanced, or buyers, because it is possible to have different markets happening in different types of neighborhoods and also in different types of homes. Number 2, let's talk about days on the market. Why is days on the market important? So let's say if you are looking to buy a home, for example, Port Credit, that's where our first home was, and over there an average days to sell a detached home is about 25 days, right? And you saw a home that comes to the market that's been only, let's say, 2 or 3 days. So knowing that, you know that the buyer now knows that I just hit the market, I'm going to see what kind of a response I get. I'm willing to let go an offer or two to really get the price that I want. So you will not be able to go in and put a lowball offer and hoping that they will actually work with you. However, let's say if you see a home that's been sitting on the market for 30 days now, that's way beyond the 25-day mark of average days to sell your home in that neighborhood. Now at that point, seller might be getting anxious and thinking why their home is not selling, or there might be a little bit more open to entertain an offer that is not close to what they wish and hope for. So this kind of data will help you to also see how you can approach kind of offer you can put forward when you are looking to buy that home. Number 3 is average sale price to list price ratio. Now this data helps you in terms of to check if homes in a certain neighborhood are selling above the asking price or below the asking price. So let's say if the average sale price to list price ratio is 98%, it means they're selling below the asking price 2%. If let's say it is 101, 102, 103, then it means they're selling above the asking price 1%, 2%, or 3% above the asking price. That also gives you an idea if looking at the numbers, is that the kind of neighborhood you can go for given the budget that you have, because you know your max limit, and if the homes are selling way above the asking, then might not be the neighborhood you want to focus, and you want to start eliminating that and focus on neighborhoods that might have something that's selling within your budget. Otherwise, you're just wasting time going out looking at homes that might not even fit in your budget. And to be honest, I become very limited in my ability to help you if I don't know what the budget is. So it's in the end, it just becomes a waste of time. So once we have that number, then we go into the MLS during our buyer consult and show you what exactly the homes are selling for.
Let's say my client who I am doing the buyer consult with has a scenario. They're looking for a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom detached home in 3 different neighborhoods. I've picked in Mississauga, Streetsville, Meadowville, and they're looking to buy a home in either Port Credit. 3 neighborhoods, budget is up to $900,000. So then I log into the system to really show them which neighborhood has a higher chance for them to buy in within the budget that they have given me. So I will go into the MLS system, I will log in and show them the recent sales in all different 3 neighborhoods. So first we're going to pick Streetsville. So we're going into here, go into Streetsville, and we're going to pick detached homes. And I just want to show them the most recent data so that can give them an idea what the homes are most likely selling for. So in March, up until the beginning of March, we picked 4-bedroom detached home in Streetsville. So there's only 4 that sold, and all of them sold above million. Then if we go 4 bedrooms, then if we go in Meadowvale, right, we see the 6 of them were sold, and again, all of them were sold above a million. Then we go in Port Credit, which is right here, and we saw that there's 0 homes sold within that budget. So right away, when I show them the real data and we show them what the homes are selling for, it means if either their budget has to go up or the criteria of 4-bedroom detached home needs to get more realistic and they need to change that. So a lot of times what happens is that buyers either have a little bit of room to go up in price, so we change the budget, or if they don't have room over there at all and 900 is their max, then we go and touch on if we can compromise, let's say move from detached to a semi, or maybe a freehold townhouse, or maybe from 4 bedrooms we can go to 3 bedrooms. So again, these are some of the things we can kind of iron out together and explore, and I show them all the data, and then they can start setting some real expectations for their home search. So before we get out there on the field, we iron out all these things from the beginning, because a lot of times buyers don't know what's really happening in time when it comes to sold properties, what they're selling for, and they think that within their budget they are able to get the home that they're hoping for. So that way we can tweak either the neighborhoods. I can show them what neighborhoods have within their budget. Let's say if 900 is their max, so then I will change the bedrooms and I go over here to 900,000 max. And let's see in Streetsville what sold in 900,000. There's only 1 home that sold, and that was a semi, again with 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and that was a bungalow raised, and that was a semi that sold. So then I show them the type of homes they're able to get within their budget. Even then, it's another 32,000 that they will have to come up with if they're going to for semi-detached in that neighborhood. And I show them the inside of it, and that they get an idea of what they will most likely get for their budget. Then I show them other neighborhoods as well. Let's say in Meadowvale, what can we find in that budget? There's 12. So maybe in their budget we can focus on Meadowvale now, because there are more likely homes that are selling within their budget. So instead of focusing on, let's say, Streetsville or Port Credit, maybe we can narrow it down to just Meadowvale itself, and we're able to find a lot of homes that are townhouses or semi-detached. Even in some cases we have detached homes. This one right here is a detached home, single car garage with 3 bedrooms that sold in Meadowvale for below 900, right? So this is where we kind of go on together to really see what we're looking at. And again, this data that I share with them and I show them the sold listings helps them again to narrow down their search, and their expectation to look into Port Credit or Streetsville might change, and then they might move to Meadowvale now because hey, we can find something in their budget. Because budget cannot change, then the expectations have to change.
So step number 4, the market education trips usually happens on a Sunday. I ask my clients to book a time for 3 to 4 hours. And in those 3 to 4 hours, what I do so far, what we have discovered together, all their needs analysis and their lifestyle and their criteria, I then pick the neighborhoods that I think will be a good fit and a match for them given the budget limitations, right? Because the neighborhood that they're focused on might not have the homes that they're interested in within their budget. So market education trip is going to different neighborhoods and checking out different homes in those neighborhoods for these clients. I always ask my clients to make sure they are rating from 1 to 10, 10 being something they're very interested in, 1 being least likely. After going through that, we connect the next day and I ask them which neighborhoods were good neighborhoods for them. And that really helps them to personally go out and see. And why I pick a weekend, because weekend is when you really see the essence of a neighborhood. People are out, they're doing activities, kids are out. And once they go in and they see the vibe of the community, the neighborhood, the types of homes that are there, neighborhoods have only older homes. The homes that are built there are much older and they want more newer homes. They might not like that neighborhood, right? So once they go through that, then we sit down together and we start eliminating. There's absolutely no chance they want to move into that neighborhood, and picking the neighborhoods that they think will be a good fit for them. Now, my friends, the fun part begins. Now that we have done all that work ahead of time, guess what? The home buying journey and the process becomes more fun, more exciting. You don't have those unexpected surprises down the road, and everyone is on the same page. So this 4-step process I find helped many buyers in the past in my career so far, and they were really happy with the homes in the neighborhoods they end up buying in. So now you have found the home that you love in the neighborhood you love, and you want to put an offer. So let's go over the offer process. Before you even put an offer, you see a home and there's a price, right? A lot of buyers are confused. What should they offer for that home? And in my case, what I do is that I do calculations based on raw data. I look at the assessed values. I pick the comparables that are similar to the homes in the neighborhood that have been selling, that are closely assessed to the subject property that you're interested in. And then I also factor in changes in the market. So what's happening? Are the prices going up? Are the prices going down? Taking those all numbers into consideration, I then come up with the price range, starting from the low end of the price range going up to the high end of the price range. And then based on that, you decide as a buyer what you think will be the right price to put forward. If the house is, let's say, right out of the magazine and there's 10 other offers waiting on the table, might be on the higher end of things. If, let's say, the house needs a little bit of work and there's tons of demand for it, might be on the average to high end of things. And if the house needs a lot of work, there's not much demand, there are not many offers out there, then probably it will fall on the low end of the price range. And this way, you're not throwing numbers in the dark, you're doing it based on raw data and information and numbers, which is very helpful. And it gives you a peace of mind that you're not overpaying for the house. I mean, things can happen, of course, things can change, there's no guarantees, but at least you know that you're working with numbers that's based on facts and not just throwing numbers out there. So then you have decided the price, you are comfortable with that price, you put an offer, it gets accepted. As soon as it gets accepted, then you will have to put down a deposit of 5% of the purchase price. That deposit needs to be paid within 24 hours of the acceptance. So you need to have that 5% available in your bank so you can make the bank draft or wire transfer, whatever that needs to be done. That money is then held in the listing brokerage's trust account up until the closing day, and that money then goes towards the purchase of your home. Next comes the down payment. If you're buying something $500,000 or less, you are required to pay at least 5% on it. You can pay more if you like, but 5% is the minimum. Anything between 500,000 to below $1 million, 10% on that amount and 5% on the first 500. And then anything above $1 million, you have to put down 20%. Then you have your closing costs. Closing costs will include legal fees. That can change depending on the type of home you're buying, the amount of work that needs to be done. But keep aside at least anywhere from $2,000 to $2,500, I would say, for the legal fees. That also includes your title search. Title search is to make sure title of the property is clear, there are no liens on the property, there's no issues with the title, and they can easily be transferred under your name. Another closing cost that I completely forgot to mention, I apologize for that, and it's a big one, known as land transfer tax. A land transfer tax is a fee paid by the buyer of a property at the time of purchase. The tax is usually calculated based on the property's purchase price, and it must be paid before the transfer of ownership can take place. Ontario has two types of land transfer taxes, provincial and municipal. The provincial land transfer tax applies to all properties purchased in Ontario, while the municipal land transfer tax only applies to properties purchased within certain municipalities. Such as City of Toronto, you will have to pay two different types of land transfer tax. One is provincial and the other one is municipal. The purpose of land transfer tax is to help fund essential services and infrastructure projects in Ontario's communities. Then there's also something else that you need to be aware of. It's called irrevocable time. So let's say if you put an offer as a buyer, you give the seller, it's up to you. You can give them 2 hours notice that they have to get back to you within 2 hours and decide whether they're going to accept your offer or not. You can give them until the next day, 6 hours. That's something you as a buyer can decide. Depending on, again, there's other factors that play important role in irrevocable time. If there's other offers on the table or not, those things will factor in as well to how much pressure you want to put in. Again, that's something me as a real estate agent can work with you on that and give you some advice on that. In the end, decision is always going to be yours. But after the irrevocable time has passed and the seller does not get back to you, the offer is now null and void, and that offer does not exist anymore. Then let's talk about conditions. Conditions, there are two things you have to keep in mind. There's a conditional offer and then there's a firm offer. Conditional offer is something that you have conditions on. So the offer is conditional upon home inspection. If you're buying a condo, then it's a condition upon status certificate, condition about financing. Usually the standard is for 5 days conditions, but it can be less to make your offer look more attractive. Again, when you're in that situation, I come in and I help you to make sure what are the best strategies you can use. Once you have those conditions, and let's say you're not satisfied with the home inspection, some structural problem, there's mold in the house and you're not happy with it, you don't want to go forward with it, you can come out of the offer and you will get your full deposit back. However, the offer is firm and there's no conditions, or the offer is not firm and you find out something later on, you cannot back out from the offer, and if you do, you will probably end up losing your deposit as well. So after all that is done, the offer is firm, it's accepted, you've paid your deposit, everything looks good, then you get to have two buyers visit. One buyer's visit, a lot of buyers will use to go in and do measurements, to maybe take their family and friends and show them the house. It's a great time to do that. And the second visit, I usually recommend to do it a day before closing, where we go in to see everything is in working order and the house is in the same condition as when you put an offer and you bought the house. Anything that's not in the same condition, let's say anything is broken or not working, that's when we report it to the lawyer, and the lawyer will then work with the other party and the lawyer to make sure everything's fixed on the closing date. If not, then they will hold the funds until that issue is cleared up and it's fixed, and that way we can move forward. The closing day, the lawyers are the one who will be in touch with you. They will let you know if the funds have been transferred, everything is cleared, they will give you access to the keys. And now, my friends, you are proud homeowners. I personally think that if we do the big chunk of work ahead of time based on my 4-step home buying process that I've shared, it just makes a home journey so much more smoother and fun and exciting down the road. So if you find this information useful, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends and family who might be also doing the research of becoming homeowners. I think this is some really useful information. And if you have any questions, I'm always here to answer. If you're someone who's looking to buy a home and wants to start the process, or just want to have a conversation, no strings attached, you can simply book a consultation call with me. Click on the Calendly link in my description. It's very easy. Remember that buying a home is not only about changing an address. It's about transforming your entire lifestyle. Have yourself a wonderful day. This is Frayal signing out.